My name is Sarah Birch.
Mhm.
I majored in music education at Texas Lutheran University.
My name is Antonio Flores. I am a senior information systems student and I am minoring in business right now.
What is the teaching style you like to learn under? And of course, I gave you the examples, but just
Yeah.
there's various ones. So, which one do you like to learn under?
So the first thing I think of is it definitely depends on the class. Like
Hmm.
in general, it's hard because every class is a little bit different. But for me personally, I do learn best from like working through problems, like practice solutions, challenges like that. I do think that that's the best way I learn. And that's kind of across the board. So in math, working through a math problem, I do a lot of coding, so different coding situations. But even in the business side of things, I like walking through scenarios and then dealing with those, like even case studies. So that's like
Hmm.
the common denominator I find. I can do different styles depending on the classes, but across the board, most of the time walking through some hands-on. I'm a kinesthetic learner.
I like my classroom to be very hands-on. Um,
Hmm.
so obviously I try to do a lot of music and movement because the students do a lot of time sitting in their other classrooms, and so I try to make my time I have with them just a little different.
Right.
So like they'll get to, if we're learning about rhythm, I want it to be hands-on, something they can actually do and feel.
Hmm.
And then, we're getting up and playing kind of games, but learning at the same time. So it's very hands-on.
What have you found to be generally the best method for teaching, in your opinion?
I'm still learning a lot. I think definitely just constantly evaluating where you are. And then, I mean, it's going to change. It really, the best
Hmm.
method, in my opinion, is meeting your students, where they are right
That's a
now.
good one.
And so it's going to change what some students need and other students not going to need. So I I don't think there's a best way. It's whatever helps your students learn.
Right. Like fits their needs
Yeah, so
specifically.
it's just constantly evaluating. I mean, at the end of every day,
Hmm.
I think about, did my students get what I wanted them to get? And if they didn't, why not? Was that me? Was that behavior issues? Was it, what was it and what can I do differently so that next time we can catch up?
I think that that's part of it, and the other side of things on that, like for how I've been taught, is getting feedback on where I'm at. That's
Mm.
the other side of the same coin.
Yeah.
For writing, am I writing the right way? For presenting, am I presenting? Like feedback is huge for me,
Right.
and so knowing where I'm at in the class is also something that I learn the best at. And so that can be through like quizzes or you know uh, questions and answers, discussion, whatever it is. Knowing that I'm on pace and I'm learning the right way, that's helped me a lot. Like it's one of
Hmm.
those things that no matter what the class is, I like knowing where I'm at and how I'm
Right.
doing. You know.
How have you, as a student, adapted over time to different teaching styles? Because obviously, you're going to be throwing a lot of different teaching styles your way. So, how have you overcome those and adapted to those?
So that's a great question. So especially because like my background, I was homeschooled, right? So
Yeah.
that's a different teaching experience than regular, I'd say in-person classes. So for
Yeah.
me, the number one thing that I've done is spoken up and ask questions. Ask questions if I need clarification. The number one thing that's helped me adapt is simply that advocating for yourself. Um, that's the first step.
Right.
Once I can start asking professor like, and that can be content questions like what is this concept, or it can be like how does this class work. Those two things have helped a lot. But I think the other thing is organization.
Hmm.
That's across the board has helped me. So like organizing my notes, organizing my thoughts, organizing when I'm going to work on certain things. Each professor is going to be different. What's helped the most is making sure I'm organized.
Yeah.
And I guess kind of the same thing. The the other main idea is being flexible. Because you said, how do you adapt? Well,
Yeah.
it's kind of like an obvious thing. Why adapt? That's that. If you're flexible with how you learn and how you receive,
Hmm.
that's what's helped me the most. Like I've had, I'm now in my last year, had a lot of different professors, and they all have different styles. The only way to excel at all those different categories is by being flexible in how you learn. I think being rigid and like only learning one method just isn't the best. We have things that are easier for us, but being
Right.
flexible is the best way I think to adapt. I like take home like take home assignments that I can knock out really quick and get quick feedback. So like it's funny, I do enjoy quizzes now. I didn't think I would ever say that, but I like take home quizzes.
Yeah.
Take home projects and or projects as far as like challenges. I kind of think of like in accounting, you have like these different practice problems you work through. I like those kinds of things that I can like do on my own time, not in class, but like on my own time and really work through. That's kind of how I learn. And then when I study, I go back and look at those. That's how I learn things. It's like by giving on my own time, working through problems, working through quizzes and things like that.
So thinking back to student teaching and me teaching now, I think just being more confident. I mean, I have to.
Right.
It was very scary stepping into my own classroom, but being more confident, and then just pretty much for me, it's been being more confident, and because I could always run something by, my cooperating teacher, or I could always do that. And there's still people I can run things by now, but obviously I can't sit down and what's your lesson plan? Okay, I'm gonna use this. And I have to come up with it. I'm on the hook for knowing my students. I'm on the hook for this.
Right.
So what we'll do is we'll listen to a piece, and then I'll have the students think about the dynamics they heard. So basically being able to write about what they heard using music vocabulary, stuff that we've learned. Part of that is because our district is really struggling with literacy, and so I'm trying to help with that. And so you make complete sentences, and you spell these words correctly, things like that. Because in music, we don't have to do writing assignments, but I've chosen to just to try to help with where our district is and stuff. I also do group things. I've been splitting us into little groups to work on rhythm and play little games to try to help with either note reading or rhythms or stuff like that. I have older students who they can't read, and so it's important you meet them where they are and try to help them along, because as much as I'm passionate about music and what I want to teach the kids, the basics of education are very important. And so making sure that I can help incorporate those basics through music, because it is very doable. It might require extra planning and extra thinking on my part, but they have to know how to read English, or whatever. They have to know how to read so they can read music, and those same skills transfer. And so I think just it's important to make sure that everything, make sure how's their math, how's their what is the school working on? Incorporate that into your room.
What's your least favorite type of assignment that you feel like is just not either effective with the students, or you feel like would not be effective, so you don't assign it?
I think that depends. Obviously, my writing assignments cannot be effective if the students don't know how to read. And so I have a lot of students that they don't know how to read. And so we do it orally. But I still try to get some of that reading in on the board. We'll do some words together, but I do that orally. So I don't have a least favorite that I can think of. There are definitely some that would be less productive if I didn't tailor them to where my students were. So if because I worked in a school that has 96% Spanish speakers. And so some of them can't read in English. And so sometimes that means I sit there with my iPad and Google Translate and I write the questions in Spanish on the board. Or I will have them be a buddy with somebody who can read English, and then they'll do the assignment together. And so, I don't think I have a least favorite. It's definitely just knowing your students and being able to tailor whatever activity you're doing.
Probably lectures, and not just in general, but the kind of lectures that are just basic PowerPoint, no questions kind of lectures. I honestly don't learn that well through that in person. If it's an online lecture, I actually can learn better because I can always go back and
go back, right?
fast forward, find my spot. Or the flip side is I can listen to lectures like 2 times speed, or 1.5 times speed.
Exactly.
I can learn better there. But the least way, definitely just long lectures, PowerPoints. I have ways around figuring out how to do that, but I would much rather have discussion-based things if we're gonna have to do that.
Mm-hmm.
We'll take breaks for projects, take breaks for different activities, but just long lectures, it's not my favorite way to learn.
Well, is there anything else you would like to add, Sarah, that you feel like really would describe your classroom more in depth that we haven't talked about, or anything else along those lines?
We haven't talked much about classroom management.
That's true.
So I think probably that's one area I'm definitely still trying to learn in.
Yeah.
But it's all about, again, knowing your students and figuring out what motivates them. I was actually surprised today when we've been having some conversations about things, and so I've been trying, I'm open to some degree with them, but I've noticed like they're very interested in my personal life, like what I'm doing away from school or out of school.
Right.
And so like I kind of talked about some lessons I've learned outside of the settings they probably normally see me in. And that surprisingly like really got their attention. I think communication wise, it's just, being open probably is the biggest thing, is that I've been realizing. And like, I know that I always enjoyed the professors at TLU being open and stuff,
right,
and being approachable. And I think it's a huge thing, making your students feel safe.
Yeah.
And like you can be approached. And so a lot of my students have rough home lives. And are they comfortable with telling me details? And I have some kids who are and some kids who aren't. And those kids who aren't, it's about trying to reach them, because sometimes there's nothing to tell, but sometimes there is, and you can tell that something's bothering them, something's hurting, and how are you going to make them feel safe so that they'll tell you?
The online assignments, I think, are the same. I still like doing online assignments. Online live Zooms, like live lectures, are worse than online or in-person live lectures. So if we're looking at just like live lectures, online is worse because, it's like if you have a question, it's hard to raise your hand and pay attention. In person, you have discussion. A lot of times you have, in a good class, you have discussion, you have people raising hands, asking questions. So if I had to choose between those two, I'd prefer the in-person.
Yeah.
But even still, having an online asynchronous lecture, honestly, is probably almost the best of all three, because it's on my own time. It's when I'm focused and I can speed through it. I can go back and listen to it. So of those three, I'd honestly prefer that. This semester's been hard getting back into this week.
Yes.
Like, there's some days where I'm like, I really just, if I could not go. Like, so, for example, last Friday, all I have on Friday was Frex.
Yeah.
They canceled Frex for Friday. So that was the first day of the entire semester I didn't go to school,
Right.
So yeah, sometimes online you may not learn the best, but it is very.
Exactly.